right, we're back. I'm Mario Cantone filling in for Artie Lange on the Artie Lange Show. Here with co-host John Ritchie. And joining us is the beautiful and lovely and fantastic Maggie Gray, host of SI Now, which SI stands for Sports Illustrated.
That is correct.
See, you would have to define that for me. Because I have like
I know,
SI.
you guys are talking about Jim Thorpe. I was waiting for like the Jack Youngblood, George Hallis hour.
I know. I was going to bring up Lou Gehrig. I mean, I was going to go to all the like the biopics of the 40s
like
and 50s.
The 1920s all-decade team. That's exciting stuff.
Jim Thorpe. What about Lou Gehrig? Oh yeah,
greatest athlete of his century, Jim Thorpe.
Jim Thorpe. Yeah. He was. Who do you think like the greatest athlete
ever?
I mean, how do you compare?
I think Jim Thorpe is in that argument,
well, like,
right?
Or Jim Brown. Jim Brown is another guy who, like, people always thought because of the lacrosse and how great he was, and the football, he's in the College Football Hall of Fame, he's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, he's in the Lacrosse Hall of Fame, that he was one of those guys, and he also retired when he was still sort of at his peak. And people just can't fathom that.
And then he made movies.
And he made movies.
Right.
Any Given Sunday? Yeah.
1 million years BC.
But
remember that?
Dynamite.
Yes, I love that film.
Do you? I
really did.
I bet it's burned in your mind because she was stunning.
Yeah.
Welch.
Yeah, and a fur bikini.
Oh yeah, and he was all like hot too in it. It was.
He was?
He was. Oh yeah, Jim Brown was a sexy man.
It's really hard for athletes, I think, to make that sort of successful transition to acting.
Well, O.J. Simpson did it too. I mean, forget about where he is now.
Yeah.
But his past. O.J., you know, he was an actor, and then all of a sudden...
Was he hot?
He was handsome. Oh, my God,
O.J. Simpson?
Oh, O.J. Simpson was hot. I hate to say this because he's a murdering, fat, bloated pig now. But, you know, he was a beautiful man. And, you know, he turns up in the Towering Inferno. He's saving people. And he survived in the Towering Inferno.
A beautiful man.
He was a handsome man. Don't you
think
he was?
He's Nuremberg from the Naked Gun series. That's where I really got familiar with him. Half of my brain is only like 80s
and who was the
comedies.
other actor?
Kareem.
What about was Jim
Brown.
Jim Brown.
Jim Brown.
He was in Any Given Sunday.
There was another one, though. I'm forgetting.
But
who was in Mandingo?
I don't know.
Jim Brown.
Find out. He was an athlete, too. I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, Jim Brown
was... it Jim Brown?
He was in a ton of stuff in the mid
Jim Brown
to
did
late
a ton
70s.
And I think that he could make an argument. I mean, this conversation would be very hard, but he was a great athlete.
He was one of the
greats. I think he could be one of the greats of all time. I mean, you have to look at, you know, guys like Bo Jackson, who played both sports.
Yes.
Who played football and also...
and baseball.
Deion Sanders did the same thing.
Deion Sanders did too.
He did too.
The twin didn't. The other twin didn't. The other Sanders boy.
I played against Deion Sanders.
The two Sanders boys, I call them, because they were twins. Yes.
Ken Norton.
Ken Norton.
Ken Norton. Oh, he passed away this year.
What?
Yeah, Ken Norton.
Ken Norton.
No, he was an athlete, right?
Yeah, he was, and he was.
He was a boxer.
He was a boxer, and then who was the football player? They were
his son was
won a Super Bowl.
linebacker.
Yep.
Now, boxing
Cowboys
fascinates me.
49ers.
Boxing fascinates me.
Really?
Do you do? Yeah. Have you?
I'm a huge boxing fan. I grew up in a boxing house. My uncle actually wrote a book about Jim Jeffries and Jack Johnson. This is the Great White Hope.
Of course, I know who Jack Johnson is.
Yeah, right. And
I saw this Ken Burns documentary. It was fascinating.
And he wrote this book, and it's beautiful.
He wrote a book about Jack Johnson?
It's like a coffee table book that's just gorgeous. And he got these never-before-seen photos and comic strips that were running in newspapers at the time of the fight. I mean, to go back to see how Jack London, the great writer, who was a huge racist and was writing about, you know, the Great White Hope.
He was a huge racist?
Yeah, and he was the one who was saying that, you know, Jim Jeffries needed to beat Jack Johnson to give the Great White Hope. And this book is just phenomenal. My brother was boxing writer for the New York Times for a while. I mean, I've grown up in a boxing house, so...
I mean, Jack Johnson was, I mean, what was it, was it the 20s?
Yeah.
I mean, his attitude was just like, screw you, this is what I'm doing. I mean, there was a definite... he had an intense. He had a chip on his shoulder, obviously, for obvious reasons. He just wasn't. He wouldn't take any crap.
He wouldn't.
He would not.
And I mean, to think about it, to do the things that he did, to date a white woman
at that
point, and that's what he eventually went to jail for, because you can't have taken a woman across state lines for reasons of whatever. I mean, these antiquated laws, and he ended up going to jail for it.
He was living.
And he beat
like
Jim Jeffries.
a black man of today.
No spoiler alert.
Back then, and saying, screw you, I'm doing this.
Yeah, and won the fight, most importantly.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He did.
You can do pretty much whatever you want if you can beat everyone up.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
John, I feel like that was what your high school must have been like. It's like, I'm John Ritchie. I will smash your head together.
Yeah. Oh, no, there was a touch of that, I think. Yeah.
And what do you think of Mike Tyson's
I interviewed
Have you-
him.
yeah,
he
right.
came on
I'm
our
obsessed
show.
with him. I've never met him, but I love him.
It's amazing.
I love what he's become. I love the journey he went on.
Yeah.
Did you see on it was on the Fox Sports Station 1, the Being Mike Tyson? It was
Yes.
a 6-part like
I didn't see
documentary
it.
on him. Oh my! It was There's something about him and who he's become that is so fascinating to me.
Yeah.
It's compelling.
Forget the birds that he loves. Just with his kid and that he has become this entertainer. Did you see his one-man show on Broadway?
I did see the
No.
one-man show, but I saw the Spike Lee documentary, or the Spike
no,
Lee
well,
just
they
adapted
filmed
it for HBO.
and he did a great job. I love Spike Lee.
Yeah.
He did a great job filming it, but I saw it live. I went his last performance in New York, and it was thrilling. He was much better than William Shatner's one-man show on Broadway. I'll tell you that right now. It was way better.
he set the bar at William Shatner. You know?
I'm sorry. I thought it was coming from someone that's done a one-man show and was nominated for a Tony for it. I know what I'm doing on stage.
Mike
I love
Tyson.
Mike Tyson was thrilling,
Yeah.
and he was in it. He was in the moment when he was telling those stories. He was just so passionate about it, and funny and great. I love who he is,
amazing.
and I want to meet him.
I sat down with him for 45 minutes and got to do 45 minutes straight with Mike Tyson.
This
and
was
I thought
for his book.
this was for
So this
being
was-
Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
This is when he was promoting that show. And there were two things about it I thought were really interesting. One, it seemed to me like he's a guy who's incapable of lying. And I know he's deceived people before
Yes.
with his sobriety and,
And he
things
said,
like that.
yeah, he said,
but
he admitted it. I
Yeah,
mean, he was lying for a while, but he was like, I've been drinking again.
And he has this need for this public catharsis. I mean, Mario, you're a celebrity. I feel like would take so much to want to share with the world every single thing. And he was just talking about the chaos that's in his head and how this is, he only feels good when he's destroying himself. I mean, the guy will sit down and talk to you about that. I had just met him, face to face for 5 seconds before we went on air, and he was amazing. Then we went through these photographs because Sports Illustrated, obviously, we have photos of everybody, and they're beautiful and candid and just depressing at some points and just enlightening. And we had one photo of him that even he had never seen before. That was him after a fight holding his small baby in his hands because the mother had just abandoned the baby.
Oh, gosh.
And
wow.
he just almost started to cry. I mean, he was able to...
He like tears up.
Yeah.
During
the show.
You've got to see this Being Mike Tyson. It's pretty incredible. And he, well, here's someone that he was in the public eye, at a very young
18.
age. Probably one of the greatest athletes that ever lived. I think he was a brilliant boxer, and all that, like you said, all those problems he had, and it was always a catharsis publicly for him. And I think he always was honest, and he always tried to set the record straight, and he definitely was much more arrogant back then. And he had that. He says it himself. He had that thing where he was like, I had to constantly be tough. It was that he couldn't be sensitive
Or vulnerable.
or vulnerable, and he was a very sensitive, vulnerable guy. And you see it today. But all that stuff was so played out in his life, and it was so out there publicly that now he's out to set the record straight. And but I also think it's something he's been trying to do from the beginning too. But he's doing it much more sensitively now.
The next time, if you ever find yourself with him, do
I would
this.
love to meet him.
Ask him to clear up urban myths, myths about him. That's another segment we did. Just setting the record straight with Mike Tyson. Asked him straight up, did you ever give the cop the Bentley? Did you ever hear about this story that Mike Tyson got pulled over and he didn't want to?
No.
The guy was threatening to take him to prison. And so he was told the cop, how about I give you my Bentley and we'll call it even? And he said, yes, that actually happened.
No,
Yes.
and he gave the cop.
And the
cop
cop
take
took
the
the
Bentley?
Bentley. He said he knew he had him right at the beginning because he started to negotiate a little bit, and he was like, I have him. So gave the cop the Bentley. The other urban myth we cleared up was that one night in a D.C. hotel.
Can we hold that for a second?
Yeah.
Because we got to take a break. We're gonna.
Good
This is a
cliffhanger.
good cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Okay, more with Mike Tyson cliffhangers.
Yeah.
With Maggie Gray. We'll be right back right after this.
The Artie Lange Show, weeknights on Audience, only on DirecTV.